You're over. You're always.
Hey guys, yes, hello. It's Dr. Tamar Beckford with our Your Caring Dogs. Alrighty, so I've been getting this from a lot of people. They're like, you know what, Dr. Beckford? This is more than just a podcast. This is like a show. It's a show. So they're like, you need to change the name from just the podcast to the Your Caring Doc show. The people have told me over and over again. So being a good student, I'm listening to you all. And so we're going to just switch the name from the Your Caring Docs podcast to the Your Caring Docs show. And we have today, we're talking about skin. I don't know about you guys, but woo, we're going to learn all about how to keep ourselves glowing because I have one of my sister docs here. I have met this woman personally, and she is so awesome. She's as radiant as you see her there. She is just as radiant in person, right? So let me bring her in our Your Caring Docs fashion. So this wonderful sister doc of mine, she's a graduate from the University of Szeged in Hungary. So all my people in Hungary, hello. Yes, this is one of your daughters, your queen. She's coming over here and she has come to the United States. She did a year of dermatology there. And she came here and she was done many researches on different skin conditions such as psoriasis. She did research at Case Western University. She did research at the University of Hospital in Cleveland. She also did a fellowship in dermatology here in the United States at the University of Cleveland. After that, she became the founder and CEO of Alta Vista Dermatology. Why? Because she loves transforming patients' lives via healing, glowing skin that helps to fuel their radiant self-confidence. Like I said, my wonderful sister doc, Dr. Sarota Szabo. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your show. I have listened to many of your podcasts, and it's been a dream of mine. And I feel very honored to be here. You have the most energy, the most fun interviews. So it's really honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad we got you on. And of course, now that you're here, we probably won't let you go because we're going to ask you everything about skin. So all of you guys out there listening, you want to put your questions over in the box. Yes, I'll try to get to it, right? So they said hello, EBS sister. So you're getting a lot of hello shout outs already. So because everyone is really trying to figure out, let's start digging from the beginning. What made you go into medicine?
Well, it kind of goes back to the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my grandfathers actually ended up with melanoma. He
Ah.
very fair skin, like I, and he was admitted to the hospital, and he was having several sessions of chemo. And
Mm-hmm.
visited him, and actually he did very well. And surprisingly, in the 80s, he survived chemotherapy, which is kind of like a miracle. Um,
Wonderful.
and yeah, so, it really the doctors at the department just made a huge impression on me. Later on, I actually, when I entered medical school, I wanted to do cardiology. In
Mm.
fact, one of my instructors in physiology, he told me that he can foresee me in a small subspecialty. I got so mad at him because I thought that I want to do internal medicine. I want to save lives. I want to do cardiology. And then, long behold, I actually, when I was in my, well, not last year, we have a 6 medical school in Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did a 1 month rotation in dermatology, and I really fell in love.
Oh.
Really love the fact that, I kind of like the quick gratification. So,
Mm-hmm.
you give people medication and you can actually see the results.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And actually, people were so grateful because you really affected their lives by changing their look. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you have psoriasis, if you have eczema, all sort of skin diseases, you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, even though it's not lucky, but people treat you like that. And so it's really, so it's up until today. We know this, right? We
Mm-hmm.
know that if you actually have that skin condition, people don't want to touch your skin, people don't want to hug you.
That's
That's
true.
what really kind of I love that you could actually really influence their lives.
Wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty. So this beautiful transformation, that occurs when you touch people's lives through just enhancing their skin, but you've seen the other part of it, which is
Right.
like, the cancer, and that fueled that interest in medicine for you. And so now, you're here, you decide to, move from Hungary to the United States and do your research. And it says part of the research you did was in psoriasis. So, what were some of the things that you found so fascinating about it?
Well, first of all, skin is an organ that is relatively easy to research, because
Mm,
you have, skin samples from plastic surgeries, or actually, when we were doing research on psoriasis, we would actually ask volunteers, patients
mhm,
who had the skin condition, we would isolate their cells. And it was just fascinating that you could actually take a basic science research. We were doing cell research in psoriasis, cytokines, and flow cytometry, all sort of fancy research, and then you can translate it immediately to the skin and
Oh.
actually transform it. That's when I was doing, that's when the very first biologics were coming out.
Mm,
Actually, see the immediate application of that basic research. Like, hey, you know what? We found these T cells are the bad guys in psoriasis, and these are the C4 cells, not the C8 cells. And now they're actually designing treatments to actually
mm.
attack those. And so you could see from the bed to the bedside. It was super cool.
Oh.
And the professor and the whole department there was just amazing to bring it all together. So
Mhm,
it really confirmed that I have to go back and try to get all these new biologics that were coming on the market
mhm.
for my patients.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty. So now, after you've been there for a while, boom, Alta Vista Dermatology came into being. So, like, how did that come about? Tell us.
So, I feel like that, we all have a calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are reasons why we have certain thoughts in our head. Um, and there are some of us who really just need to be at a certain hospital, a certain organization, because they're the most effective that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that. I actually had I worked in two different offices before I opened Alta Vista, but
Mm-hmm.
I find myself every single time trying to think about the best ways how I would do it, how I would improve patients' lives, and I had way too many ideas, and it was just not feasible to do because it was not my practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how one day, as I was just brainstorming with my husband, and he looked at me and said, you really just need to open your own. And when he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't realize. I actually grew up in Hungary in the time when everything was owned by the government and there was no private practice. So
Mm-hmm.
there was no entrepreneurship at all.
Right.
The fact that someone told me like I should open my own, I'm like, I guess I do have ideas, but the idea of that is just really scary.
Wow. I can't imagine. Oh, wow. So, but I mean, Alta Vista was forming. There you are transforming lots and lots of patients' lives, which I love. I love. I love. Now, we have tons of people who are flooding the question portion because they just want to know so much about skincare, the differences, and so on. So, one of our first question that's out there, and I think it goes along with one of the last one, kind of goes about skincare routine. So they said, what are the best products to pick for your skin, and what are some of the essentials of a skincare routine?
Okay. So, real quick, insert something that I
Mhm,
tell all my patients when I do consultation, because I do think it is essential. When you look at someone's skin,
mhm,
it also reflects not only the status, the skin part of the system, right?
mhm,
So when you're doing skincare, and we'll talk about it in a minute,
mhm,
also do other things to your body
mm,
actually have that glowing skin. I like to look at people in a holistic way,
right.
right? So very briefly, the things that I mentioned, and even when people, I don't have all the time to go over it, but
Mhm,
look, if you want your skin, the glowing skin, you have to do other things, including eating healthy, including drinking and hydration. We live in Colorado, so this is really important for people to hydrate very well. You
mhm,
really have to exercise. You really have to have your right mindset. So,
mhm.
because some of the worst skin conditions we see from so
Stress.
I cannot do miracles, and I cannot set up a regimen if someone is a lot of stress, right?
Ah,
So I do tell people that you will need to sleep well, eat well, exercise, and take care of your mind. So taking care of your mind, now there's so many applications, apps on your phone. It's
mhm.
really at your hands. I do recommend a few of them. And so, you will need to go and play. I will tell you what to do with your skin. You have to take care of your body
Ah, so part one in skincare begins with wellness,
with the
with inside
wellness and your whole body.
your whole body. Alrighty, love it.
Very, very. Without that, I can't do miracles. Now, if
Hmm.
number two, skincare. Depending on decade of your life you are in,
Hmm.
will change a little bit. Now, even when you're 20, you will need some skincare. Very important. It's mostly preventative,
Hmm.
but also hydration again. Even with a moisturizer, if you don't do that in Colorado, you will look about 20 years older. Then
Ah,
day-to-day,
so hydration.
it's really important to moisturize your skin. And I tell people in Colorado, you need to use a cream moisturizer. If you live in Florida, lotions may be good, but not in Colorado, no matter what skin type you have.
Mm.
So start your morning. I don't recommend using soaps twice a day because it is so dry here. So I only recommend using soaps in the evening to actually take off all the environmental damage that we encounter during the day. But in the
Mhm.
you do want to use some cold water. That's really good for you. Then after that, I do want you to use either a moisturizer or a moisturizing sunscreen, right? And
Mhm.
nowadays, if you want to use a tinted sunscreen, that's great because then you don't even have to put a foundation. I am really big on keeping it simple, right?
Mhm.
If you make it too complicated, people will not do it. Let's face it.
That's true.
I know, I know this because I am a busy mom, so I don't have time layer after layer, right?
Right.
So in the evenings, though, you do have a little bit more work to do.
Mhm.
Um, and basically, you do want to use either a gentle cleanser or you could use an exfoliating cleanser too, if you feel like that. If you use a makeup or if you do sweat in the gym. I mean, I do think that taking off makeup and all that, it's good to use an exfoliating moisturizer, exfoliating cleanser. But you may want to use it every other day. Again, depending
Mm.
on how dry your skin is, right? You over exfoliate because you'll end up with dryness. And then after that, once you did that, you gently rinse your face off. And then I am a big believer of growth factors. So there
Yeah.
are two very good companies out there. Medica is one of them, but there are other ones out there. SkinCeuticals is one of them. They have really good growth factors, right?
Mhm.
And then you do want to use actually a moisturizer after that. Again, a moisturizing cream is really good. And that's definitely, I would layer it on. Now, some people can also use a Retin-a or retinol, which probably has the most amount of research in dermatology. We
Mm-hmm.
have a lot, probably 20, 30 years old research, really solid data in terms of cell turnover. Now, when I'm in Colorado, that not everyone can use it every day. So
Mm-hmm.
I recommend different patterns. Some people can use it every other day. Sometimes people just start out twice a week. And then once you kind of build up a little bit of tolerance, you can actually use it every day eventually.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Colorado. I could only use it. What I did is I used it Monday to Thursday, and then I had a over the weekend.
Oh, you give it like a rest
My skin
period.
would just peel. There's no visible peeling with you know a little bit. It's no big deal, but we definitely don't no need to have a generalized peeling.
Okay.
Have the
Well, because there's a little bit of like you were mentioning, a cutting in and out, I'm just going to repeat what you just said.
oh
So you
okay
were saying that with the retinol, you said that sometimes you might have to gradually work your way into it. And
yes
then you said that for you personally, when you moved to Colorado, because Colorado is a dry state and it really does dry your skin out, you did it from Monday through Thursday, and then you gave yourself a rest period for 3 days and you came back to it. And
yes
you also mentioned that the thing about retinol is that you have like 30 years worth of research. You said that is one of the most researched like product, skin product. There's so much info on it. It's great with the cell turnover, great to really get that fresh looking skin.
absolutely.
Yes. Alrighty. So for those of you guys who are thinking, you're like, wait, growth factor? And then we're at retinol. Wait, this sounds like the grass method. You are correct. We are going over the grass method of skincare. So the GRASS. So we did the G, growth factor, the R, the retinol. Now we're heading on further down the A and further down the alphabet. So go ahead, Dr. Szabo.
Yeah, so then you have acne, and then I actually at this point I just recommend the moisturizer
Mm,
because in my opinion, when people are using that, that is plenty already in this climate. If you kind of piling things up, you may actually lose some efficacy. Now,
yeah.
I will tell you about a new cream I think not very many people know about. There is a new product called Amapel. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it is basically a estrogen mimicker in the skin, but it is not estrogen. So, according to the company, it is also safe for people who have had even breast cancer. The whole idea is that right around perimenopause, we start to lose a lot of collagen. In fact, based on their research, what they say, you lose about 30% of our collagen within a 5-year period, starting perimenopause. So that's a lot of collagen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when sagging starts. That's when, so to say, people say everything goes south, right? So,
That's true.
so no, none of us like that, and that is very true. There's a lot of structural, anatomical explanation for that, but this new product actually mimic the effect of estrogen, and therefore it stimulates collagen production. So the
Mm,
whole idea is to counteract collagen loss.
mm-hmm.
So I do tell my patients after 35, it's all about collagen and elastin.
Mm,
Um, lately I have added on one more thing because I do think that overall, when our bodies start to change and we start to lose even bone density, you know,
mm-hmm.
and we don't have the underlying structure to support our skin, that's
Mm-hmm.
how the hollowing start to happen in the skin.
Mm-hmm.
We have hollow on the eyes, we have kind of sunken in temples and so forth, and that's the whole uh, reason why we start to kind of sag too. I mean, loss of collagen and elastin too, but those structures that used to hold up our skin all of a sudden not present anymore, so things kind of get loose. So
Absolutely.
I do think that working on density,
Hmm.
going back to that nutrition, right? But
Right?
not my specialty, so you have to talk to your private doctor and family doctor, nutritionist. But I think it's really important, because otherwise, we can help, but a lot of counteract that um,
Hmm.
structural loss, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Alrighty. So I love how we're really getting into the nitty gritty of the skincare on, keeping it. Now, that statistic that you just dropped, we lose 30% in like 5 years or so after 35. Like,
It's
whoa.
insane, isn't it? Even that research really just shocked me. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely. Alrighty. So I love, love, love this. Now we do have two really other great question there. So one of our sister docs was asking about at the cellular level when you were doing some research, did you notice any differences in the skin between the races slash cultures? So like the psoriasis, when you were doing all those cell research and the differentiation, did you notice, were there any particular thing that stood out based on the scientific research, based on skin, race, and skin types?
Yeah, so not on the cell level, but we actually, I will say this, as
Mhm.
a researcher, I would say that we did not we did not specifically looked at this
Mhm.
on that time when I was in the lab, right?
Mhm.
But we know that there are differences, and we
Right.
know that certain with certain skin type you're more prone to this condition, that condition.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that it can't affect all skin types, but it's kind of like with skin cancer, right? you,
Mhm.
uh, Skin cancer can affect all skin types, we know that, but
Mhm.
it will be more common lighter skin types because we don't have as much melanin to protect us. uh,
Absolutely.
and so it's probably the but we in when I was doing research, we did not break down by skin type. We
Mhm.
mostly focusing on the actual condition, comparing that to normal skin.
Mhm.
But so normal skin and disease skin, we were not
Mhm.
breaking it down to different skin types.
Okay.
I don't want to say anything because we didn't do that.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Alrighty, so we have our wonderful Dr. Ayazafar. She had a great question for us. Coming from the Cali side, she says she's curious about PRP. So I know a lot of other people are hearing these alphabet soups. PRP, this, what is PRP? How does it work? Is it something that I can use? So let's have you break it down, Dr. Szabo.
Yes, to PRP, platelet-rich plasma. Okay.
Hmm.
The whole idea is, and actually it wasn't dermatology that developed it. Mostly, I believe orthopedics started to use it first.
Hmm.
The whole premise is that platelets have a lot of growth factors.
Hmm.
So they started to develop different systems to actually separate it from serum, and basically you draw blood from the patient, and then use the system 10 minutes, spin it down, and then separate the platelet-rich part of the blood.
Hmm.
Um, and then, so first, orthopedics used it for different stimulations in the joints. Uh,
Hmm.
Dermatology, I would say it is close to 10 years now that the very first doctor started to use that, interestingly enough, for hair
Yeah.
improvement. And it is still being refined, it is still being researched, but what we know is it does work. And now being used as an adjuvant treatment for like a microneedling treatment,
Hmm.
or any sort of, actually we use it for any sort of laser where we create tunnels in the skin. This is something that we can add on. Um, and that it can also, of course, can be injected, and that's the vampire facial.
I was going to ask
Uh,
about that.
being formed that way. So and so it can be used many different ways. And I think that it does actually work. Now there are a few things I think we need to note.
Mm-hmm.
Now know that if we draw a blood and use platelet-rich plasma from someone who is 20 years old or someone who is 70, unfortunately, the growth factor amount is not the same. I
Right.
think it makes sense, right? Because our
Mm-hmm.
body has a genetic program, and as it's going through its program, when it hits 50, 55, 60, we are making growth factors. The body thinks we don't need that anymore, right?
Absolutely.
So there is difference between quality, and although the both natural to use growth factors, right? Because this is
Mm-hmm.
own body, you still have to be pretty careful with it, because after a while it's as useful. So there are now actually in development and some in commercial availability exosomes that people use. Those are high concentrations of growth factors that are they're sold in a million units, multi units at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that the research is now focusing a lot of it there, because hopefully we can develop more consistent stimulation, right? Because the growth factor will be the same vial to vial.
Right.
RP will remain, because there is in Colorado, but across the country too, there's a lot of people who just want to be really natural and don't want to be artificial. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's understandable. But people who go a little bit of a route, or let's say, you know, I want to touch base on one of my passions is treating people who have gone through chemotherapy,
Oh,
because
okay. Yes.
a lot of times when people go through chemotherapy, their skin gets dull, and they lose their hair, and when they beat the cancer and they're all happy, they want to feel better about their skin as well. And
Absolutely.
I love treating them, because the transformation is wonderful, and the smile just priceless. And for them, for example, exosomes, I think, is a very reasonable thing. Since they have gone through chemotherapy, it's questionable how good their growth factor production is, right?
Makes
Don't
sense.
really have a good way right now to measure it either. So
Mm-hmm.
for them, I think it will be a good treatment down the road. Still, a lot of it is in research, though.
Okay, so we're still in a lot of research with the exosomes, but we're thinking that for those who have gone through chemo, being that the whole point of the platelet-rich plasma is to draw your own blood, spin it down, and use your own growth factor. We're not really sure how the chemo has affected your growth factor itself, if it says good, if it says potent, and so on. So you're thinking those exosomes might be a great addition for those who might have gone through chemo. However, as with everything, we're still in the research phase.
Yeah. So we need to just watch where the research is going, but I think that's very promising.
Mm-hmm.
The PRP is something inject you could use for the vampire facial or for other things, but exosomes is definitely not. So
Absolutely, absolutely wonderful, wonderful. So I love the fact that you just mentioned that, you really are dedicated to really helping those who have gone through chemo and to really just help to add an additional smile to their face after they've been through this huge ordeal and just help them have very glowing skin. Is there any difference that you have between your treatment plan for those who have gone through chemo versus for those who have not?
not really. I would not start until they are undergoing chemotherapy, and then once they finished,
Absolutely.
again, I want them on a nice nutritional plan that
Hmm.
for their body, and then we will design a skincare regimen and a treatment plan, depending, not every thousands of dollars, right, to spend on treatment. So there are different levels, right? So we can always kind of adjust based on the budget.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that a skincare regimen everybody should have at home.
Mm-hmm.
You can build on that your skin fitness, right?
Yes.
Kind of like it's kind of like when you're trying to keep your muscle and try to keep your bones. You're gonna have to go to the gym. You kind of have to do something about your skin too. Otherwise, the collagen breaks down, the bone support will go. So,
Mhm.
depending on your level, different depending on your genetics, depending on where you are at, we can personalize plan. And for some people, it's just 2 times a year, maybe microneedling to stimulate that collagen, right?
Mhm.
For some people, it will be a couple of chemical peels. Again, depending on what they need help with. I like to say that there are 4 pillars of rejuvenation, right?
Go ahead.
But
Let us know because I know we're all looking for it.
so because everybody's body is different. So some people, the skin surface has brown spots or lines. Some people have volume. Some people have more segment. So I feel like four things I tell people, and not everyone will need all 4,
Right.
right? So one, relaxation of the muscle. That would be the botulinum toxin and family.
Mm-hmm.
Refilling one loss. That would be your filler,
The
that
fillers. Yeah.
acid or stimulatory fillers doesn't matter. It's refilling, repositioning the skin. If you have, when the skin kind of goes south, you can actually reposition it with nowadays dissolvable sutures, suture lifts. You can use in the office.
Ooh.
You don't have to no cutting involved, and you basically can within an hour or two you can place those sutures underneath the skin, and these are dissolved. This is basically same suture material that have used forever for suturing skin,
Mm-hmm.
and resurfacing. So if it's a surface, so relax, refill, reposition, and resurface.
Oh.
And so when you're trying to create a balanced natural looking skin,
Mm-hmm.
some people need all, some people just need one, right?
Ah.
Depending on where they are at in their journey.
Love it. So relax, refill, reposition, and resurface.
Yes, you got it. Yes.
Alrighty, all 4. Wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty, so now we have dug so deep. We're like half an hour deep into this wonderful, wonderful information, skincare for all, basics to have in your things that you think about, the grass method, the 4 pillars of great skincare, which we all start with the inside out, healthy, keeping your stress level low, hydrating, and moisturizing. But with all that you are doing for so many others, Dr. Szabo, how do you take care of yourself? What is your go-to self-care routine?
Well, I have 4 boys. So
4 boys.
I have 4 boys. So the house gets loud and busy. So I have to get up early,
Mm-hmm.
actually take care of my body and my mind. So I like to get early and get some quiet time, some meditation, some prayer, and then once I did that, I like to get on my treadmill or I go to my yoga class, and then I started to do some journaling. It has been helping me a lot, and just kind of keep my mind focused, and,
Mm-hmm.
so to say, declutter, right? So
Right.
know what are important for me and what is important for my family, what is important for my office, kind of stay on track. And
Wonderful.
we're back to that journal a lot. It really is helpful. Other things I do not on a daily basis, but I actually have joined PBS
Mm-hmm.
on the business school, and my soul sisters, and that is it's taking care of myself. I like that having a busy family, having a busy office, you know, uh, doesn't allow a lot of time for. I do have some really close, very good friends, but um, to actually kind of increase my entrepreneurial sense, who actually we think alike. Um,
Mhm.
it really helped me a lot. So I try to be active with the school, but I tell you what, just joining in Wednesday evenings is a therapy for me. So
I love it. I think it's for all of us. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so my fun question of the day before we close out is, if you weren't a doctor, what would you be?
so I think I actually I thought at some point I was going to be an architect. And
Ah,
later on, I discovered how much I like interior design.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like, in some ways, that is also a form of an art.
Yes.
When you're looking at faces and trying to create balance, that's also a form of an art. So I I definitely love interior design, and if I am relaxing, also this is something that sometimes I just look online or kind of have a little bit of my husband say that I can't stop finding places in the house to actually kind of rejuvenate.
I love it. Oh my
So
goodness.
that's what I
I love it. So we're rejuvenating faces and we're rejuvenating the home.
yes.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. So we have a lot of people who are watching, and we have a lot of people who will be listening when we put this out on the podcast version. And they're like, hey, I want to know, where is this Dr. Szabo? And I have a friend who's in Colorado, and they're looking for a doctor for their skin. They want that rejuvenated skin. I love the fact that she's just so well versed. Where can I find her? You let them know.
So our office is in High Ranch, Colorado. It's about, I would say, about 25 minutes from downtown Denver. Um, and we are accepting patients. We're doing medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology. We can do consultations online when it's appropriate, not with everything, in this with the skin can be done, but some things, yes. And
Mhm.
we can definitely do telehealth as well. So it is our honor, definitely, to take care of people, and that's what something that gets me out of bed every day.
Oh, and very early too. I know this.
That's for sure. Yes, yeah.
Alrighty. So, do you have a website and also social media? Because I know a lot of people are like, "Ooh, I want to see her on social media." So, go let them know your social media handle.
Yes. So website is altavistaderm dot
Mhm.
com, and then I do have on Instagram Dr. Szabo Derm, and then I have a LinkedIn Sarota Szabo. And that's about it. I do have a personal Facebook page as well, but I don't put a lot of the work related stuff, mostly on Instagram. And then my office has a Facebook and an Instagram page, Alta Vista Dermatology.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, for those of you guys who are out there, you're like, hey, I want to know about her. I'm in the Colorado area. Go to altavistaderm.com or check out the Instagram or the Facebook page, Alta Vista Derm. Alrighty, it was wonderful having you on. I love all of this beautiful information that you provided for us, Dr. Szabo. I cannot wait to pour and pull some more info. I should say pull. I'm going to be pulling more info from you to help with our community out there. So for all of you guys, this wonderful information will be available on our Docs Who Cure podcast. We'll put it out in the podcast version. So do not forget to go online and look us up. That's yourcaringdocs.com. URCARINGDOCS.com/docs-who-care, right? That's the Docs Who Care. And you'll see this wonderful beautiful lady on. You'll see her picture and you'll see the listen here button. Click it, boom, listen to this wonderful episode. Leave her a 5-star review because she dropped 5-star knowledge on us today, right? And do not hesitate to come back and listen to more and more and more because there are tons of great info available there on the podcast. Thank you all for listening and for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, Dr.
My pleasure.